What's going on, everyone? Smith here, and I finally got the Hawk back out of the shed. It's been a while, and I'm happy to report that even though I hadn't started this thing since like the end of last year, I think it was like around the beginning of December when I started this thing, it fired right up. I got it out of the shed. I broke my ankle, obviously. I would have started it earlier in the year, but with me having a busted ankle, that at least put me out for, when did I start walking again? Around mid-March, I was walking again, like more like normal. I had a bit of a hitch in my step. Now I'm walking like completely normally. I don't even have my ankle brace on anymore. So, but I haven't had time to ride this and for quite a few months, and I was a little worried because we had some really, really cold days this winter, and I was a little worried that was going to drain the battery, because I had seen videos on YouTube where people would let these sit for like a few months, and then the battery, they'd go to start it and it would be dead. So I was a little nervous about that, but much to my pleasant surprise, it started right up as if I had just shut it off yesterday. So, put a little air in the tires, put a little grease on the chain, and it was ready for the road again. And yeah, we got it out on the trails. The weather lately has been just beautiful. The springtime weather is like ideal. I see so many people riding too, like this weekend in particular, but the past several weekends, like everybody's got their bikes out now. It's like it's that time of year again. Everybody's out and about, and yeah, I figured it's been well past time, in fact, for me to take this thing out of. And you know what? I forgot how great this bike was, because I had been riding the Eliminator so much towards the end of last year, and I hadn't really ridden the Hawk very much. And it's easy to forget how capable this little 230 actually is, because you go so long without using it, and on the back roads, it can keep pace with traffic like perfectly fine. It generally does. It's only when we get to like the steeper hills that you're gonna have any trouble keeping pace with traffic, because in top gear it kind of loses. Like on level ground, you can keep pace with traffic, no problem. But you start going up hills, you're gonna start losing speed in top gear, even if you're like punching it all the way. So, something to watch out for. It's very hilly where I live. Now, the low gearing definitely works in its favor when you're climbing like steep hills and you're on the trails, like you're on dirt roads. Like today we're gonna be on some gravel roads and stuff, so nothing major. But on some of the trails out here, the hills can be like crazy steep, and being in first or second gear, maybe even third on the Hawk feels like just right. You're not going too fast, you're not going too slow, you still got plenty of power, you can get up. And it's a dirt bike that can go on the road effectively, right? So, and that's how it behaves. It behaves like a dirt bike that can go on the road. I'm going to need to do something about those pegs. I've been spoiled with the foot pegs on the Eliminator, because they're very long, and I can kind of just have my feet in way more of a relaxed position, where these are more like dirt bike pegs, and they're kind of narrow and short and kind of stumpy. And that's good in the sense that they're not going to catch on anything when you're like, moving through some like thick brush or something. But it's also like kind of annoying, because it feels like my foot's going to fall off half the time while I'm standing on them, or putting weight on them. But I'm very pleasantly reminded that the Hawk is just like, yeah, this is a good, capable dual sport. Nothing crazy. It's, great for back roads, great for putting around town, and great for just going to the trails. And that's mainly what it is now, for me anyway. It's a trail riding bike. I can get around town if I need to, or if something like, the Eliminator was in the shop or something, I would take the Hawk out then rather than take my truck, just because it's going to be way better on gas. But the Hawk is basically my trail riding, camping type bike. Like, I would take this out to some like remote trails with a pack and everything, and maybe a bag strapped to the back, and go camping and whatnot. This would be perfect for that. So it's easy to forget, and it's funny looking back. If you want the clocks back far enough, all the way back like a year ago, I was seriously looking at the KLX 300, and I was gonna get that, and that would have been a one and done, given my whole financial situation at the time. If I had got the KLX 300, I mean, that would have been great, but it also would have prevented me from being able to get the Eliminator, which I cannot even begin to express how glad I am that I got the Eliminator, because that is by far my favorite bike. And the other thing is, the Hawk is actually quite a capable little dirt bike. So that can go on the road. So you kind of get, I was able to get both. I was able to get a very capable cruiser for going on the road and getting me, that's my primary commute bike, and that is perfect for what it does. And the Hawk is a fantastic little trail riding camping bike and great for putting around town. And so I was able to get both when, ironically enough, originally that wasn't even the plan. The plan was to just get one bike and be done with it. Funny how things work out. But the Hawk, still going strong, still mainly all the same parts on it, by the way. I have added, what have I added? I did the sprocket upgrade, obviously. I did the spark plugs, and I added the felt washers to the bottom of the gas can. And that's something because I saw some people report a gas leak, but I don't even know if it would have leaked, to be honest with you. That was just kind of preventative. There are these bolts that screw into the gas can for the pump for the intake or whatever, for the gas, and those bolts have been known to like kind of rattle loose and leak. And one video I saw recommended felt washers, or making your own felt washers and putting those in there to prevent them from rattling loose. So I just did that preventatively as soon as I got it. But aside from those few things, oh yeah, and the tires. Cannot forget the tires. Replace the tubes in the tires. That's a big one right there. If you had seen my previous update video on the Hawk, you know what I'm talking about. I very nearly crashed because of that. So I guess that is kind of, that one was a big one, because that was quite a scary experience. Easy to forget about in hindsight, like, until it pops back into your head and then you're like, oh yeah, that was wild. But aside from that, all those little things, like, did I need new spark plugs? No, I just replaced the spark plugs preventatively. Did I need the washers? No. Did that preventatively too. Still got the original chain. I did buy a replacement chain to put on preventatively, but I just haven't gotten around to it. And the stock chain has been fine. It's stretching a little bit, but it's not bad. And yeah, all in all, great bike, certainly for the price. That's the other thing you got to keep in mind. This is a $2,500 bike, folks, bought brand new. And it's a surprisingly capable little machine. It is a Honda clone, so it is as to be expected, right, in terms of its durability and its capability, because Honda has a tremendous reputation for having really good bikes. So it seems to follow that pattern. But it was a beautiful weekend. It was really nice to just get back out on the road with the Hawk it had been quite some time. Long overdue. And yeah, I would recommend these to someone, but huge caution next to that would be you need to be willing to work on this yourself, and you need to do these like certain preventative things, like replace the tubes, spark plugs, chain. You need to be willing to do all of these things preventatively. Replace the tubes, spark plugs. What do you call it? Felt washers on the tank. I didn't do the valve adjustment. I know people are going to whack me on the head for that, but I didn't do the valve adjustment. So that is one thing that everybody and their brother recommends that you do right away, and I hadn't got around to it. But from what I hear, they come super tight from the factory, and it's a fairly easy. I even got a feeler gauge. I just hadn't got around to doing it. So, but that is one thing that I heard. You should probably do the valves. But other than that, it's been trucking along, and you get some just really good fun out of these bikes, and that kind of like leads me into one of the motorcycle things, just more broadly I wanted to talk about. Riding a motorcycle like as a hobby, it's like, can it be expensive? It's like, well, to get started, yes, it can be very even going the cheaper route like I did initially, where you still want your helmet. That's gonna run you back like $300 for a decent one right there, and then you're gonna get you some gloves. I'll run you maybe $50 or something to get some halfway decent gloves, maybe more. And then the bike itself, which I got the Hawk here for $2,500, about 26, 27 after maybe it was more like 28, because I didn't even think about the shipping cost. $2,500 was like the base price, or it was $24 for the base price, right? And then they also charge shipping. I could have had it shipped to like a facility and it would have been cheaper, but then I would have had to go get it with my truck, and that would have been a whole thing. So I had it shipped directly to my house. So, and that was like 300 extra bucks. So, and then after taxes and everything, so you're looking at almost $30,000. But the pro is you get a brand new dual sport, right? You don't get a used one, you get a brand new one. So, now could you get a better used bike for about the same price? Probably, if you have the patience to actually find one, which I do not. If you have the patience and know-how, I should say, to actually find one, which I had neither. I was trying to look up like how to shop for a bike properly, but I was just like, heck with it. I have no idea what I'm doing. It's the same reason I bought the Eliminator brand new. It's because it's like, I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm just getting into motorcycles. I have no idea what to look for. And I watched videos kind of giving me instructions on what to look for in terms of buying used, but I'm like, I'd just rather buy brand new so I know what I'm getting when I buy it. And even with the Hawk, I knew it was going to have problems, but they were all problems that I knew, or I was like aware of going in, so potential problems I was aware of. Whereas the engine itself all had really solid reviews, and it has not disappointed so far. As just a bike overall, it is great fun. And getting out here in nature and just exploring, going down random trails and seeing where they take you, it's good fun. Now, I've been down this trail before. I definitely knew where I was going. But sometimes you just gotta stop and take in the scenery. So, I would definitely recommend motorcycles. And whether you're a, dual sport rider or a street only person, like, just getting out on two wheels is so much, like, it's hard to even put into words just how much better it is than being in a car. Now, yes, it comes with plenty of drawbacks, like, you know, you're much more at risk of, like, having a fatal crash or whatever, and, you know, you're much more at the mercy of the weather. But on those nice days when you're out just, like, enjoying nature, it is a great time. And the main reason I got a motorcycle is I was just so bored and sick of my my daily routine and my daily commute. It was just so boring. And one of the great things about the motorcycle is it shook the whole thing up. It was like every day was like an adventure. Even going to work was like, oh, what are we gonna run into today? You know? And even to this day, like, I've been riding for a while now, and I still feel that way. Like, every morning leaving for work, it's always exciting. And every day when I leave work and head home, it's always a very exciting time. It's dangerous, but it's fun, and it's not as dangerous. Like, there's a certain base level of danger, but the real danger is kind of what you make of it. So, based on how you drive, based on how you ride, you can make that experience much more dangerous or much less dangerous, because I forget what the figures are, but it's like a very small percentage of people who ride actually get into crashes. Because most crashes occur at, like, intersections and when people are drinking or at night, right? So if you're being careful going through intersections and you're not drinking and riding and you're not riding at night a whole heck of a lot, then you should be relatively alright. Like, there shouldn't be that much to worry about. And also watch out for wildlife. Deer can be really stupid. I had a deer nearly run me off the road last Thanksgiving. I was headed over to my parents' house, and the deer was walking up, and he's like just about to cross paths with me, but he was like stopping and like looking at me, and then at the last minute, I was doing about 50, and at the last minute, he like jumped out in front of me. I locked up my front tire, and he went by, thank goodness. Still, that was stupid. Almost as stupid as missing my turn here. It's been so long since I've been down these gravel roads that I forgot where the turn was. I was like, oh, it's back that way. But yeah, I would say to anyone who's on the fence about getting a motorcycle, like, do plenty of research, but also, like, go for it. It is way more fun and way more enjoyable than being in a car, and it adds so much more to your life. It's relaxing and thrilling and all the good things, right? It is funny when you think about it, just how people, say that old adage, like, the joy is in the journey. Whenever you're going somewhere, the joy is in the journey. Well, when you're riding a motorcycle, it really is, right? Getting where you're going, that's the fun part. And you can really have quite a lot of fun. But it is not without its drawbacks. You gotta watch out for the weather, you gotta watch out for winter. That's gonna be a problem. By the way, at the end of this season, my plan is to get full up heated gear. I'm gonna get heated gloves, heated inserts for my my jacket, heated pants maybe, heated neck guard, right? And then hopefully I can stretch out my ride time a lot further into the winter than I would have been able to previously, because it is very annoying when it gets really cold out, and then I have to, like, put my bike away. And I'm like, man, I want to ride. So, it's a good time. And, yeah, if you told me, what, a year and a half ago that you're going to be like a motorcycle guy, or you're going to get like a street bike, and you're going to ride on the road and everything, I would have told you you're crazy. Not that I didn't think motorcycles were cool before, I just never really considered getting one because I knew they were dangerous. And so that, like, never really crossed my mind very much. Like, I always thought they were cool to look at, and there was, you know, anyone I ever saw on a motorcycle automatically got cool points in my book, but it never really crossed my mind to ride a motorcycle on the road because I was way too concerned for my safety. But then once you get over that, I mean, safety, what is that anyway? It's a lot of fun. It is a ton of fun. And just, you know, obviously be careful, do all the things. You know, take the courses if you need to. Do your research. Read up on what to look out for. Watch. There's a plethora of instructional videos online about how to ride safely and about how to ride defensively and all the rest. Or invisible riding, they call it. So, all of that is really good and very informative. And I 1000% think that people should do their research before getting into this hobby. But it is a good, fun hobby. And, as I say, it can be cost effective. You know, there are people out there who will tell you, oh no, having a motorcycle is an expensive hobby, but not really. Like, it's about as expensive as you make it of a hobby. So the pros and the way I kind of talked myself into buying a motorcycle in the first place, and you know, particularly the Eliminator, because that was a bit of spending money event. But the way I talked myself into it was, I'm going to save a ton of money on gas and on wear and tear on my truck, right? I'm not going to have to replace the tires as often. I'm not going to have to do as much maintenance on my truck, or any maintenance that is going to need to be done. I'm not going to have to do it as readily because half of my commuting or more, right, is going to be on my motorcycle now. And that's basically how I've functioned ever since. It's like I try to do as much commuting as I can on my motorcycle to save me gas money and all the rest. And because even the Eliminator, I bought that thing brand new, it was about $8,000, right? So there are motorcycles out there that are more expensive than cars, or as expensive as a car, but the Eliminator can do everything I need in terms of commuting, in terms of going on the highway. I mean, they can do everything my car can do pretty much. So, in terms of like transporting me places, in terms of like roadways it can go on, and my vehicle can go on. Now, obviously I need my truck for like hauling stuff and whatnot, but if I just need to get to work, or if I just need to be at a place, I can do that on my motorcycle for next to nothing in cost of gas and maintenance and wear and tear. So, things to keep in mind when you're considering buying a motorcycle. Don't make it as expensive as a car if you're gonna try to justify your purchase of a motorcycle within the vein that you're gonna save money. Because you can have a motorcycle. I mean, shoot, I have 2 motorcycles now, and I'm still saving money, right? I got a fun hobby now, and these being my main means of transportation, way cheaper than taking my truck. So, that's just the fact of the matter. But if I had like a Scout or something, or I had like a more expensive Harley, you could easily run up the price tag and be like, okay, this is just as expensive, if not more expensive than a car. It's like, you should have just got a car at that point. And there's some argument for that, because cars don't really care much about the weather. Whether it's windy, rainy, snowing, doesn't matter. A car will be alright, typically. But a motorcycle, you really don't want to ride in any rough climates. Like, you want it to be nice outside when you're riding, and you don't want it to be too cold, and you don't want it to be too hot. But if it is kind of hot, I mean, as long as you keep moving, it's not that big a deal. So, but you'll never be as in touch with nature in a car as you are on a motorcycle. That's just how it is. Being on a motorcycle is so much more. You are so much more connected, and I know I've said it, but you are so much more connected and present just everywhere you are. And that's one of the beautiful things about being on a motorcycle. So, would highly recommend it to anyone who's thinking about it, but like I said, do your research, wear all your gear, be safe, but have fun, Get out there. It is a good time all the way around. And it is a great hobby to have. Alright, well, I think that's going to do it for me. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.